I have sat face to face with a few convicted murderers over the years inside the dismal confines of maximum security prisons. And let me tell you, I am always glad that the pass they give me lets me out. Make no mistake, as depressing as it is to walk around inside those prison walls and spend time with people who are condemned to a life of hell by their own doing, it is without question some of the most fascinating work that a true crime reporter can do, as I am sure my next guest agrees. Last year, he traveled to upstate New York to interview the infamous son of Sam, David Berkowitz, who was arrested 48 years ago this week on August the 10th, 1977. Berkowitz had killed 6 people in a span of 13 months and paralyzed the entire city of New York with fear. He was 23 years old when he killed his first victim, but now he is 72 and still not even halfway through his 150-year sentence. You got 25 years for each victim to serve consecutively. Michael Franzese spoke with the son of Sam for his very popular YouTube series, Sit Down with Michael Franzese. Have a listen.
If someone would have told me when I was in the services, look, Dave, when you go back to New York, you're going to have some problems. You're going to end up in prison. You're going to, mess up real bad. I would look at what are you talking about? Well, I got a vision of you getting into trouble later on. I said, well, there's no way. I had good goals. I mean, I never thought this would happen. I never dreamed by wildest imagination. But I remember coming back to this, to New York, to my friends from Co-op City, and found out that everyone was in a period of transition, and so I was trying to find my way, and it was kind of lonely. I was looking for my hope in life was to, when I got out of the Army, get a job, take advantage of the GI Bill, get an education, find a girlfriend, get married.
Cool. Girlfriend, married. Michael Franzese is the former capo in the Colombo crime family and author of the book From the Godfather to God the Father. And he joins me again live on the program. Michael, it's good to have you back on the show. I can't hear enough of that interview. It is so awesome. How did you land it?
Well, a good friend of mine, Mike Caparelli, he's a research psychologist, and he went to visit David. He actually wrote a book, Monster Mirror, I think was featured on Netflix. He spent about 100 hours with him, just talking about his crime, his emotional state, and all of that. And during that conversation, David told him that he knew of me, and that he read my book, Blood Covenant, many years ago, and he had become a person of faith. And he said he would love to sit down with me if he ever had the opportunity to do so. So Mike called me and I said, yeah, let's make it happen. And so that's how we got together.
So during the interview, Berkowitz says that he was traumatized by demons since he was a kid. I want to play that clip and ask you about it on the other side. Take a look.
I feel I was really traumatized by demons since I was a child. And I've gotten so much evidence of this over the years. After I became a Christian, I didn't understand it back then, but the Lord opened up my eyes years later to see all of these different events that kind of gelled together to cause this to happen. And I always had a fascination with the darkness. I would just say some prayers and make promises to the devil. I came under some strange teachings which talked about the end of the world, and we have to do our part to bring in the end of the world, to set up the new millennium. It was just a bunch of satanic. By this time, I was about 22.
Michael, he talks a lot about, darkness and blaming the devil, but did you get a sense that almost half a century locked up has changed him, that he's a different person, that he makes sense, that he's not the absolute, Looney Tune that he was when they arrested him?
Well, I have to say this, I do believe that he's not doing this for any other reason other than he's trying to explain himself a little bit. He did say to me, Michael, I know I'm never getting out. I'm never going to get parole. He said, I don't deserve parole. As a matter of fact, he had stopped going to the parole board and they told him, no, you need to go. You have to show up. It'll be worse for you. So he shows up just because he has to show up, but he knows he's never coming out. I think he was very honest with me. I happen to believe him. He just laid it all on the table. We spent several hours together. he told me, I said, David, what kind of childhood did you have? You know, and he said, look, it was pretty normal. He was adopted. His parents were good to him. You know, he found out later on, he was told, this is one thing that really troubled me. He was told all the while that his mother and father, his real mother and father, were dead. They didn't exist any longer. And then they told him that for a long time. And then later on, they told him, well, we didn't tell you the truth. Your mom is really alive. And then he tried to reach out and reach his mother. And then he tried to reach his father. And some things really troubled him about that. So the bottom line, and I can't get into all the interview, you have it, but I believe that he was very sincere. You know, he's become a person of faith. He actually does Bible studies in there with inmates every week. He gets hundreds of letters every week from people that he tries to discourage who are thinking about doing some of the things that he did. It was quite scary when he told me that. Yeah, he said he gets,
wow,
Michael,
that's something.
Hundreds, I know. He said, I get hundreds of letters and I try to discourage these people from doing anything crazy like I did. But yeah, he did tell me he was into devil worship at one time and Satanism. He did meet up with a couple of people that were into that. It did take a hold of him for a while. You know, that's why he was saying, you know, his dog was possessed. And I mean, it was a crazy conversation. I had never spoken to anybody like that before. And I met a lot of, you know, different people on the street. Let's put it that way. But, you know, the bottom line,
yeah,
I believe,
to say the least.
Yeah, I believe he's sincere.
So let me ask you real quickly. I want to play this one clip and ask you about it as well. He talks about why he began to amass weapons. Take a look.
The term would be mental health issues, but I know it was also spiritual issues. There's something had gotten a hold of my life, something demonic, and I just kind of lost my way. You know, my thinking became very delusional. I thought there were people in the neighborhood after me. You know, I got some weapons, a shotgun, a rifle, a pistol, and you know, I was really living. Although in some ways I was, you know, living my life, inwardly I was just wrestling with this forces of darkness.
So, Michael, the final question for you, having been face to face and really believing that he's sincere in the way he speaks, he may one day choose to go to those parole hearings and actually try to get parole. He's got one coming up next year. Would you feel safe on the street if he was out?
You know, that's a tough question. Listen, I had a good conversation with him for 2.5 hours. That's the extent of my, you know, my knowledge of him. I believed everything that he told me during that time, how he was possessed, how it was demonic, how it was more in a spiritual battle than an emotional battle. But, you know, he told me, maybe I don't deserve to be out on the street. I'm not looking to get parole. I'm never going to ask for it. That's what he told me. So I don't know. Can that ever recur in somebody? You had these battles spiritually, you know, at one point in time, cause you to do these horrible things. Could it ever occur again? I don't know. You know, that's a tough question.
Boy, you and I got to meet again when that parole hearing is scheduled for next year. Will you do that? Will you come back? Absolutely. Awesome interview, my friend. Holy Dinah. Let me just give you props again here. If anybody wants to go to the YouTube show, it is called, real quickly, eek. I had it in front of me a second ago. Tell me real quickly. Oh, yeah, Sit Down with Michael Franzese. That's where they can find the full interview, right? Sit Down with Michael Franzese on YouTube?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, well, I highly, highly encourage it. It is so telling. Thanks, Michael. Appreciate it.
All right, thanks for having me. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.